Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review the new documentary, The Test and the Art of Thinking. And this is from director Michael Arlen Davis, and this is a very biting in, big spotlight put on to our education system when it comes to the SATs and ACTs. Now, I work in higher ed, so I don't work in admissions, so I'm not really looking at SAT scores, but I do work with students who get accepted into universities. Like the institution that I work at has actually gone test optional. And thinking about what does the SAT or ACT really measure? And this documentary does a really good job of showing the progression and the history and the layers to why this was even created in the first place. They even talk about the original man who wrote it was part of the eugenics movement. It was a very specific kind of test to look for a very specific kind of people. And over time, how it is shifted from being this elitist kind of barrier for people to get into college has now turned into a money-making machine for College Board and for tutors and all kinds of people involved in this system and benefiting from this system. It's interesting because you have the perspectives. What I appreciate in this film is you have those perspectives of former College Board people who have this perspective on what they're doing. They show interviews and presentations from College Board putting this out there, their expectations of what this is supposed to be. You see these tutors who really, really love what they do. And honestly, it was kind of sickening watching what some of them are able to do to help boost student scores. There's one part that shocked me where one of the tutors was able to help them answer questions without a question by just looking at the answers and making assumptions and finding the algorithm of how they set their answers. Kids were answering questions without looking at the question. And obviously I have very strong feelings about this, and I do not appreciate the teaching to the test. And this documentary where it doesn't hit next level kind of artistic vision from a documentary, but this is such an intriguing indictment upon SATs and ACTs where it really takes the time to build up that history. You see these different perspectives, and you look at where things might go in the future, and you see where our education system might be going in the wrong direction, where it used to be the SATs were supposedly supposed to be representing our education, but now our education is shifting gears. And it looked at both sides, and it looked at the policies of schools can start giving tests reflective of the SATs. Now you're teaching to that test. You're changing the curriculums to focus on this test, that it really isn't a strong representation of people's ability. It's, can you beat the test? Do you have the money to beat the test? Or were these questions written for you? And it takes look at how this affects people from underrepresented backgrounds and of students of color in urban areas that don't have the same resources. And it was really sad listening to a group of young people talking about how it's some kids are prepping for the SATs right out of the womb. And this one girl even said that. It's since you're 5 years old, prepping for it. And in many ways, you can only afford to buy this book sold by the College Board. And not gonna lie, I bought the book and spent 20 minutes looking at it, but then went into my SAT. I've always had very strong feelings about this, and I appreciate the layers and the depth they go into in this documentary for just an hour and 25 minutes. This is a really deep and thought-provoking documentary with a lot of different perspectives from a lot of different sides, really focusing in on how influential the SAT has become in terms of our education system. So, if you want to get all hot and bothered, go check out The Test and the Art of Thinking. This is a really, really quality documentary with such great information. It's very eye-opening. There's things that I already realized before watching this documentary, but I feel like somebody who doesn't have that background and is from the outside looking in, as a parent or a child or somebody taking these exams, this is eye-opening. So go check out this documentary. But those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.